Good evening, everyone. Again, with the chapter number 3, that is the technological aspects of embedded system, we are going to look for the new point, that is the digital signal processing. Now, in this chapter number 3, we have seen the technological aspects. Like, first, we have started with the analog to digital converter or digital to analog converter. Second, we have seen the signal conditioning part, and now we are going to see something about the digital signal processing. So let us see in detail about this digital signal processing. This digital signal processing is nothing but it is increasingly the electronic equipment applications involve the signal processing, right? Now we know whenever we are going to use some electronic equipment, each and every application is consisting of the involvement of the signals processing. So, for example, suppose if we are going to take the home theater, if you are going to take the computer graphics, if we are going to see the medical imaging and all the telecommunication things, that are all on rely dependent on the signal processing technology, right? So for this signal processing requires the fast math in complex but repetitive algorithms. So, as many applications require the computations in real time, the signal is in a continuous function of time, which must be sampled, converted to digital for numerical processings, right? So, whatever the applications you are using right now might be having the continuous signal changes, right? So this signal, digital signal processing, is going to come under the real time application. So for the every time you need to update that signals according to the time, the signal is going to vary, as it is a continuous function, continuous input signal, that is the analog signal you are going to give the input. So according to the time, the signal is going to vary. So as the signal is going to vary, it has to be sampled, again it has to be converted into the digital, and this is going to go on for the numerical processings. So the processor must thus have the execute algorithms performing the discrete computations, so on the samples they arrive. So as the sampling is arriving, as the samples arrive, each and every processor must have the execution algorithm performance for this discrete computations. So for this, we need to look for the good characteristics of the signal processing techniques. So let us see what all the signal processing techniques are, the characteristics of the good signals. First one, first the digital signal processing should be the fast. Signal processing done. The signal processing means we need to process the input analog signal into the discrete form, is it not? So that should be done in a fast process. Second thing, the flexible arithmetic computation units. It should support the flexible arithmetic and computation unit. For example, it should be have the multiplexers, accumulators, barrel shifters, or likewise. So this is the constrained data flow to and from the computation units, is it not? So whenever the data is to, also it should have to take the input from the computation units. So it should be have the extended precisions and the dynamic range in the computation units to avoid the overflow and to minimize the round of errors. So this round of errors is nothing but is the constraints of the data flow from to and from the computation units. So to know this actually what it is, we are going to have this signal processing should have to and fro units. So second thing, we are going to look for the dual address generators. Now this dual address generator is for the simultaneous handling of both inputs to the DIDIC operations. Now next we are going to see is the characteristic is the efficient program sequencing. Now efficient program sequencing is like it is going to have the including ability to deal it with the loops and the interrupts efficiently. So it should have the ability to deal it with the loops, that is nothing but if it is going to get the program is into loops and loop, it is going to deal with the loops, it should have that efficient programming sequence. And second, it should have the ability to deal with the interrupt effectively. Interrupts is nothing but the error which is going to occur in the programs, and in case it should have the easy in programmings. So these are all some characteristics of the good signal processing. So let us see in detail about this. Now, as we have seen the DSP, that is the digital signal processor, which has some common features with that of the reduced instruction set computers. We have seen this RISC in the last lecture also. RISC, that is the reduced instruction set computer. So in addition, both are constructed around certain core instructions, enabling them to operate at a very high instruction rates, and both eschews the internal microcodes. So in addition, whatever we are using, it should be both of actually both the processors, that might be the digital signal processors, or it might be the RISC processor. Each of them is having some certain core instructions that is going to enable them to operate at a high instruction rates, and both for the internal microcoding. So however, they are fundamentally different animals. It is said that both are same but different animals. So the differences between the RISCs and the DSPs are most pronounced in the processor terms. It is called, this RISC is not called as a processor, it is called as a RISCs, and DSP is called as a processor. So most of the pronunciation is different. So it is having the computational units, both are having the computational units, both are having the data address generators, both are having the memory architectures, both are having the interrupt capabilities, and they are having the looping hardware system, they are having the conditional instructions, and they are also having the interfaces features. So basically DSP belong to two basic classes. First one is, here you can see, first one is the fixed point and second one is the floating point. In the fixed point, typically it is a 16-bit architecture based on the 16-bit integer data types. Okay, and the second one, that is called as the floating point, usually comes with the 32-bit architecture, which is based on the data types that has both mantissa and exponent. Both are consisting in the floating point. So here you can see the SHARC internal hardware, internal architecture you may call it as. This is SHARC. SHARC is nothing but full formed as super hardware architecture. Okay, so this RISC is also again going to come with the hardware architecture, right? So this SHARC internal, here you can see the diagram for both the core processor and the dual ported SRAM, which is consisting of all the bus connections and also the input output processors and rest all things. So similarly here also it is going to have the internal architecture with a super hardware architecture. So the computational units, now here you can see there are some units where it has been extended over the next point. So the computational units, now we are going to see the computational units part as we have seen earlier. So the DSPs all contain the parallel hardware multipliers to support the single cycle multiplication. Okay, so, and their multiplier often combine the multiplication and accumulation in a single cycles. The computational units where all these DSPs are used, it is going to contain the hardware multipliers, where this hardware multiplier is going to support a single cycle multiplication, and whatever the multiplication is done, their multipliers are often combined together, multiplied and accumulated into one single cycle. So next we are going to see is the DSP have the dedicated accumulators with the registers significantly wider than the nominal word size to preserve the precision. For example, suppose now these DSPs have the dedicated accumulators. Accumulator is where you are going to add some things into and saves the data into that accumulator. So whenever the output you are going to take and whenever you are going to save the data with the accumulators, they have the registers significantly wider than the nominal. This DSP is consisting the larger size of the accumulators. For example, suppose the 80 bit is for example 80 bits in 32-bit ADSP, that is the advanced digital signal processor, and where it is 2106X is the SHARC family. In the figure 1 you can see, here you can see the things. okay, where we are going to have the 80 bits of accumulator, where we are going to save the digital data into it. The hardware may support the recovery from the accumulator overflow, as the advanced DSP21 family is having, it is going to support the recovery from the accumulator overflow. Suppose the accumulator is overflow, then it is have the support to recover those instruction sets. So in addition to this digital signal processing, all contains the full featured arithmetic logical unit depend upon the multipliers. So this arithmetic and logic unit may have this special features like the ability to produce the simultaneous sums and differences. Now basically this ALE is used to what you can say, used to perform the arithmetic and logical functions. So wherever the sum is produced or the differences is produced, it is to accelerate the kernel routine in the fast Fourier transform of the algorithm for transforming the signals between time domain and frequency domain. Kernel routine is nothing but the OS where it is going to produce all these features in fast Fourier transformation. So the advanced digital signal processing will contain the saturation logic in the computational unit flow to prevent the data from overflow. So it may also offer the zero overhead, that is nothing but without requiring any additional clock cycles, it may going to offer the zero head, that it is going to trap the interrupt routine on the arithmetic expectations. So when there is an overflow, is it not, when the arithmetic logic is overflow, when the instructions are overflow, the data may get discarded. So without that, the without now when the data is discarded, the interrupts are going to occur. So all these things is offered with a zero head, that is without external clock supply. This arithmetic and logic unit is going to get the traps over this arithmetic expectations, exceptions. So this sophisticated DSP may also contain a single cycle barrel shifter, in which one capable of shifting word by the arbitrary number of bits left or right in a clockwise direction. So this sophisticated DSP is also having the cycle barrel shifters, where you can shift those data rightwards or to the leftwards with the priority encoder technique for the data scaling purpose, for the data compression purpose, for data expansion or unpacking the bit manipulation, etc. So it may also include the dedicated hardware to minimize the time required for the fast division, square root and the transcendation functional calculations. So this DSP is also having the dedicated hardware where it can be minimized all these features for the fast division, to get the square root purpose or to get the transcendent functions calculations, etc. So for this computational elements with these specialized feature are not found on the RISC processors, where all this what you have seen in the computational features, it is found only in the DSPs but not in the RISC processors. Next we are going to see is the address generation. In this address generation, we are going to look for the efficient DSPs will keep its computational unit fed with the data from the least two independent data address generators. So this tapped delay lines and the coefficient buffers are the characteristics of the DSPs. These DSPs are having the most significant, that is the delayed lines and the coefficient buffers, and this is known as the general purpose computing. With this efficient DSPs, the circular buffer, as we have seen, the circular buffer hardware to support these buffers need to support the buffers. So this circular buffer pointer need to update every cycle without overhead. Without overhead means without overflow. This circular buffer has to be updated each and every time. So furthermore, a comparison test for end of the buffer needs no delay command to reset the pointer at the end of the buffer. On the other hand, the RISC processor requires an additional cycle for each comparison test, and this, as the generation is address generation is required, and there is no any external set required for this, for the overhead procedure and all. But in RISC processor, it for every cycle this additional requirement is required. Next we are going to see is the memory architectures. Now the memory architecture, especially in DSP, it is going to support some memory architectures that is different from the general purpose computing, because this DSP is utilizing the hardware architecture. We have seen the difference between the hardware architecture and the non-human architectures in the earlier lectures. So this DSP is consisting of the hardware architecture, where it is going to permit the single cycle access to two words of the data from the two distinct external memories. From the different two external memories, the single cycle can be accessed its data, and which has the permit for this hardware architecture. Now analog devices of this super hardware architecture of the DSPs, if for the example the feature of 2 or 4 mbits for dual supported SRAM integrated on chip. So this SRAM, that is the static RAM integrated on chip, is having the features of 2 or 4 mbits. Now this memory is directly addressed, not on a cache, and would be found in the RISC processors. So to the CPU, this on-chip memory looks like a unique piece of the memory and not merely the high-speed replica which is most found in the memory elsewhere in the system. The reason that the DSPs are typically embedded processors, there are on-chip memories and is often adequate to the content that the complete respective DSP program are necessary to the task. So and therefore each memory block in this hardware is portable to a single cycle, that is independent access by the core processor, that is the input output processor, or the DMA controller is used. Therefore the dual ported memory and the separated on chip buses that allows the data transfer from the core one from the input output in all the single cycle. Next we are going to see the interrupt capabilities. Now as I told you, interrupt is nothing but the error which is going to occur at the time of flow of the execution of this programming. So this is because the DSPs are intended for the operation in real-time systems, is it not? This DSP is operated in the real-time systems, which is and also it is operated in the efficient way, sophisticated way. Predictable interrupt handling is a critical in a DSP. So the RISC processors are highly pipelined architectures and tend to have slow interrupt response time and limited interrupt capabilities. Now the interrupt, once the error is going to occur in the execution of the programming, immediately the execution of that interrupt has to done. There should be things where the execution for the interrupt has to occur first. But this RISC processors are going to work on it on very slow interrupt response times and for only the limited capacity of the interrupts. Only few interrupts whichever going to occur, this RISC processor is going to work on it. So in context switches should be very fast. Context switches should be very fast in this interrupt capabilities. So the advanced DSPs like the 21C01 or and the analog devices of this advanced ADSP, where it is going to support the floating point family supporter, completes the sets of alternative register where it is can handle the single cycle and also it can switch to the context switching for the interrupt handler. Now the advanced DSP will support the least 4 independent external interrupts in addition to the internal interrupts. So 4 external interrupts. See, there are two types of interrupts which can be occurred externally and also which can be occurred internally. So with the help of these kinds of interrupts internally or externally, this DSP is going to support 4 external interrupts as well. So the interrupt latency will kept for a few cycles and must be predictable. Now we should know which kind of interrupt can be occurred, and it can be occurred or that can be predictable by this DSPs. So the interrupt should be nestable and it should be portable. Now this it is nestable means it should be in the nest facility, so that every time it can be occurred and every time it can be workable on it. And in addition to it, it should be easy to enable and disable the particular interrupts in real time. Next we are going to see the hardware looping. Now in this hardware looping, efficient looping is critical to the digital signal processing because the signal processing algorithm are repetitive. Is it not? Every time the signal processing has to repeat its algorithm all the time. So the good DSP will support the zero overhead loops, that is the traps which we have seen earlier, and it is dedicated to the internal hardware. That is, this chip will monitor the loop conditions and terminate to the dedicated in parallel with all the other operations, whether to increment the program counter or to decrement the program counter, or without the branch without cycle, or the penalty to the top of the loop. So all this chip has to monitor the things while it is in looping. All the things has to be monitored. So a RISC processor on the other hand has to do the test, to do the test, then it branch the end of every loop, then costing of the least additional cycle for every loop and every pass it has to be done. So instead the nested loops are very common procedure to follow the signal processing algorithm. Every time you need to nest means you need to be in a loop for that nested. And so the RISC processor have to get involved and support these basic signal processing needs. Next we are going to see is the conditional execution. Now the data depend execution is important for the signal processing. Now you need to know what is the execution time for that data dependent. We need to look for the signal processing. And for this reason, the advanced DSP families for 201 family, or you may take as 2106 family, for the super hardware architecture supports the floating point, and conditional execution is also done almost on the basic instructions. That a single instruction can be done, the processor test can be done on the condition code, whether it is true or not, whether the performance of the cycle is on the same cycle or not. So all these reasons are there to condition the cycle execution every time, and this makes an enormous difference or to computationally intensive algorithms. So Intel discovered this problem in 8i860 and added the graphics unit to handle the conditional store, so that it is necessary for the operation for high performance Z buffering. Next we are going to see is the interfaces. So this interfaces is nothing but this DSP operates on the real world signals coming from analog to digital, or to send the result to digital to analog converters. For this reason, the DSPs are often contain the serial ports for an inexpensive interfaces. So to these devices. Therefore, advanced DSPs add the hardware to make the operation efficient. For example, double buffering is possible or auto buffering is possible. So, because of this, input and output signals may come from and go to the non-linear codecs. So these advanced DSPs may have dedicated hardware so that it is not going to go zero overhead problems. So in addition to this, the serial ports may have features to simplify the interfacing with T1 or the CEPT data transmission lines. Now here you can see the efficient SHARC, that is nothing but the super hardware architecture memory that is going to allow the input output bandwidth to keep up with the computations. So here you can see this is the internal SRAM architecture, where it is consisting of the DSP cores. It is consisting of the two core addresses. One here is the one IOP access, and this is the IOP threads, where you can access the allow A0 to A9 data, data lines, again data lines, and again the A0 line. So here you can see this is the two independent dual ported blocks, that is, this is the block 0 and this is the block 1, where simultaneously two blocks can be workable. So these Shark serial ports are designed to maximize throughout this hardware, which is flexible for the various types of signals. So the features included is like the serial port can be automatically receive or transmit this entire block of the data. Then second thing, independently transmit and receive each with a data buffer register as well as shift register. And third feature included is that multi-channel mode for the time division multiplexing is possible. So the programming considerations. At one time, the significant difference between the DSPs and the RISCs was their programming models. So the DSPs inherently perform the driven. So the programming of the DSPs was done mostly in the assembly language to get best performance from the processors. But this is generally true for the fixed point DSPs, but not much to the floating point. So the algebraic assembly language was followed, that is the ALP, algebraic assembly language. Before it was using the assembly language, but to get for the fixed point dedication, this processors are using the algebraic language assembly, so that at no sacrifice to performance, the eliminates the easy of use issue that drives many programmers for the flavor of high level language C. Whenever you are going to use the language programming in C, there is no sacrifice for the performances. On the other hand, the floating point DSPs are more efficiently programmed in the high level language. So floating point and the fixed point, as we have seen two classifications, that was about the floating point, now fixed point. Now according to the floating point, whenever we are going to look for the floating point, high level languages are being utilized. So for the floating point calculations, they avoid the fractional data types which do not exist in C language. Whenever you are going to write the programming in C language, such kind of fractional data types is not possible. So in addition, the architectural decisions can affect the compiler efficiency. So the large unified address space in this kind of families of the super hardware architecture, for example, makes the memory allocation easier and for the compiling process. So in addition to this, large flexible register file improves the efficiency. In addition, you can do this for the floating point calculations. So for the central to our product strategy is providing the tools and the DSP cores that makes it possible to efficiently program our fixed and the floating point DSPs the high level language. And this is because the driving force behind this kind of DSPs, the new family is concurrent in the signal processors. So every time there is advanced DSPs, some advanced features are going to come up with. So nevertheless, they are also having the high level languages. DSP programmers must be capable for the descendant in language level, that is to improve the performance of the critical time routines. So increasingly DSP designs are programmed in the sequence, like first the software prototype is written and it is debugged in the high language level. Second, this prototype is often results in the adequate performance. Then it is going to more general increase the performance with the respect to the required high level code. Then the critical sections are then handed coded in the assembly language, and finally the histographing and the handed coding process is going to come in contact and in unwritten until the performing targets are met. So this is the sequence where the DSP design is the programming techniques. While the difference between the DSPs and RISCs are many, the two architectures tend to coverage in the area of programming. It is going to tend in the area of coverage driven time to market and involving the role of DSPs in the applications. So programming can skill the quickly developing working in the C programming where to bring the things produced in the market faster. Meanwhile, the DSPs can take one more management function, like such as the user, the interface or the system control, that will need to offer the high level language efficiency to compete with the microprocessors or the RISC processors to control whichever it is assigned. Okay, thank you. So these are the things which we have seen for the DSPs, which is required, the digital signal processors. Advanced processors are being much utilized nowadays, and the language, assembly language programming, and the what you can say algebraic assembly language programming is must required, according as the DSPs are going to come up with new features. Accordingly, the language processing has to be done, and simultaneously it is compared with the RISC processor. Simultaneously both are same, but due to some advanced features of the DSP, it is not compatible that with the RISC processors. So in next lecture we are going to see something about the interfacing of the subsystems. Okay, till now, thank you.